Leveraging the power of artificial intelligence, AI, and innovative partnerships, Six Flags is redefining every aspect of the guest journey to deliver unparalleled experiences. Now, why would we talk about this on Tower Topics? Well, with the merger between Cedar Fair and Six Flags looming, it matters. Hello, everyone. Alongside Ryan Sir, I'm Don Helbig, and this is Tower Topics.
Tower Topics is a podcast by Kings Island fans for Kings Island fans, because that's who we are and that's who we care about. I, for one, welcome our AI overlords. I just want to make that on record.
Well, I mean, you're a big tech guy, so in coming up with this episode, what we would talk about, with Six Flags making their announcement this week, what they were doing, um, you know, with the possibility of that merger going through, soon,
Mhm.
it just seemed like it would be relevant.
I think this is very important because the cool part is they're adding this with Six Flags, and if anything, they're going to test this out for a year on their parks before rolling it out to the newly acquired parks, assuming the merger goes through and assuming this goes well and so on. But we'll cover all that stuff.
Yeah, what it's doing, it's reshaping Six Flags into a technology-driven entertainment powerhouse, which could be, the future of Cedar Fair after the merger goes through.
Yeah. So, at the forefront of this transformation is the Digital Alliance, a pioneering collaboration uniting top tier companies at guest centric, clientele. They're reshaping Six Flags into a technology driven entertainment powerhouse. So, one of the first key advancements include personalized guest experience. That's going to be utilizing AI. Six Flags is revolutionizing customer engagement and pre-visit planning with forthcoming website revamps, introducing Missy 6, a digital concierge powered by generative AI. Um, I don't know
What are your
how I
thoughts?
feel about that one. Yeah. Well,
Okay.
okay. So Missy, every company that has a website has one of those chatbot things where it like you ask for it and it gives you answers, and it might be able to do things here and there. I haven't met one yet that's good. Now you got Chat GPT and stuff like that that can generate stuff, but Missy 6 sounds like it's going to be, I want to buy tickets for July 7th. Where's the best value? But do you think that they would ever direct you off, oh no, AAA has a good discount? No, it's just going to have you on the website.
Right.
So that's my thought with that. Now, with that being said, there are some things that it could do. It says it's generative AI, and generative AI, for those of you who don't know, is the kind that talks back to you. Think Chat GPT, where you tell it, "Oh, write me a poem," and it writes you a poem, or it makes a work of art or something. The generative part is probably just its ability to converse with you, but beyond that, I don't know how much it's going to be able to add to the experience that's going to feel different. When I bought my season pass at Kings Island a few weeks ago, the first thing it did was, oh, do you want to upgrade to Prestige? Nope. Do you want to add the All Park Passport? What about All Season Fast Lane? It's going to do the same stuff. I mean, maybe it'll find products that are more apt to you, but it probably doesn't know a whole lot about you. And it's only got an economy of about 10 products it could offer total. So I don't see this being huge. Missy 6 might be more of a frustration than it is a help. But with that being said, always remain hopeful because we don't know what they have in mind.
All right. We've got enhanced mobile experience. This is right up your alley. The revamped mobile app that will feature interactive maps for seamless navigation, mobile food ordering, and tailored recommendations based on the user preferences.
I just don't know what to say to that. So interactive maps, okay, we've seen that before. There you can do a million things with interactive maps as far as the AR thing where you can like hold your phone up and it'll tell you what the menus are at the restaurants through your camera and so on. But that's going to be very taxing on people's batteries. I don't see them going that direction necessarily. If they do, it'll be a huge waste of resources. Mobile food ordering, it doesn't take AI to do that. I don't understand why that's in this article. AI wasn't really like at the tip of the tongue until 3 to 6 months ago. Disney's had mobile ordering forever. They're not using generative AI to make that. And tailored recommendations based on your preferences. Tell me more. You know, what are my preferences? Like, what are you referring to? And what kind of tailored experience? When that comes back, like, are you going to recommend Fastlane to me? You know, do we need AI for that? You know, a lot of this is kind of like the more that I'm looking at this, because I did get to look over this article. I might have actually sent it to you. I can't remember, but there's a lot of like what they call word salad when it comes to AI, when people throw stuff and it sounds impressive, but it doesn't do anything. And this particular point, the enhanced mobile experience, feels a lot like that.
Okay.
Right. Digital wallet integration. The upcoming Six Flags digital wallet will streamline guest access to loyalty benefits and payment methods across all parks, eliminating the need for physical wallets. How groundbreaking.
All right, next. Now, this is something that I think you got to get excited about. It's the immersive ride experiences. Cutting edge video and photo capturing technology on roller coasters allows guests to instantly access high quality imagery, enhancing their ride memories.
Sure. Yeah. And that's a fantastic use of AI in the theme park industry. Again, Disney does it where you have your location services on. It probably actually connects with Bluetooth. I don't think it would use GPS for something like that. But at that point, you know, you bring in, you ride Pirates of the Caribbean. It knows you rode it. It knows you have the photo pass, so it automatically puts it on the app. That's the sort of stuff they're getting at with this, and I think that's incredible. One of the things that you'll notice is that, like, especially with Fun Picks at the Cedar Fair parks, is sometimes they staff people there, sometimes they don't. They don't really have to. It's not a referendum on that, but they have a booth for it. Well, like a kiosk where you can scan your pass, find your image. That's a long process. So I don't want that. Like, if I can just ride a ride and then it's loaded into Fun Picks, that's a fantastic use of it. Where AI comes into place is which one's you? What's the right photo for you? You know? And I think Disney uses that as well, because every once in a while you'll ride Pirates of the Caribbean is a real culprit of this, where they show you 3 photos and be like, which one has you in it? You know, because they're using you know, the location services or whatever to figure out what photo goes to you, and there's some sort of glitch and it can't figure out which one's you. But I don't know if it's facial recognition. I don't know if it's just a location of your phone or your watch or whatever. But I think that's the most positive thing I've heard yet on this list.
All right.
Okay. Innovative gaming initiatives. Six Flags is venturing into e-gaming and metaverse gaming platforms, bridging the excitement of theme parks with online gaming. What? If they want to have a Six Flags game on the Meta Quest or something, that could be cool. How's that affect your theme park experience, though?
Exactly.
I just don't understand. They could. I mean, Cedar Point had the Battle for Cedar Point, which was a game, and it didn't last long because, for one, people don't go to Cedar Point to play games on their phone. They go to Cedar Point to twiddle around on their phone while they're in line, except not Top Thrill 2, of course. But but I don't see that being it. The way that this reads, and granted, this might have been written by the company, not by Six Flags. So the way that it reads is they're going to come up with some sort of game that's external to the parks, which could be cool. There's a Universal Studios game for PlayStation where you play different, you know, obviously it's a little dated now because it's from like 2003 or something, but there's like a ET game and a Jaws game and stuff like that. If they could do something like that, that could be kind of fun. But with that being said, like, I don't know necessarily if that's going to affect the park experience.
All right. Now here's something that might. Six Flags is introducing innovations to expedite access to rides, food, and retail, including self-serving kiosk, QR code, food ordering, and retail self-checkout options.
None of that has anything to do with AI, unless there's some sort of security measure involved with that. But let me ask you this, Don, and this is totally not swaying off subject. What do Kroger, Walmart, and Dollar General all have in common? They're all either getting rid of self-checkout or exploring getting rid of self-checkout because shrink is so freaking high when you have self-checkout, because people either forget to scan stuff, intentionally don't scan stuff, employees aren't paying attention because so somebody can walk right out the door with a bag of stuff because they assume they use the self-checkout. If they used AI to determine if you paid or not, that could be interesting. And maybe this article just doesn't go in depth enough as to where the technology lies. But as far as self-checkout's concerned, I mean, even at Kings Island, how many times do people get water cups and fill them up with Coke? If people do that, then like, oh, bag of chips, self-checkout, buy, that's going to happen. And so it's going to come down to, how do you manage this? How do you implement it in a way where you're saving money on the labor, but you're not losing a ton of money on the shrink? Those are questions for which I do not have the answer. So I assume you do, Don. What do you do?
I don't have the answer either on that, but here's the question. Okay, so you've got this merger looming. So Six Flags is off doing all of this, the investment and everything into AI, but amongst these developments, questions are looming regarding the future of these commitments post-merger with Cedar Fair and what the management there would think of this. So what are your thoughts on that? Do you think they talk back and forth about what's ahead, or you think they're just doing their own things, and then after they merge, they'll figure it out then? What do you think's going on there?
That's a great question, because I wonder, this is implemented now for a reason, because they wouldn't approach them and want to do this right now going into a merger, because it's going to get messy. I would say that either they were in these talks a year and a half ago, and this is just the contract, or maybe they're talking to Cedar Fair, and Cedar Fair has a hand in all this and stuff. But at the same time, how confident are they that the merger is going to go through? Because if they had Cedar Fair involved in this, and it's this huge technological investment, and then the merger doesn't go through, and then Cedar Fair knows exactly what you're planning on doing with technology, how confident are you that this? I mean, I know that from the surface they seem pretty confident that the merger is going through, but if I was sitting on the board of Six Flags, I'd be like, well, let's start sharing our sealed documents once the merger goes through, guys.
Yeah, and then it goes through. You've got half the parks are they're going to be here with the technology. The other parks, they're going to be playing catch up. So it kind of creates an interesting dynamic there.
Yeah. It makes me think that maybe this isn't what they think it is. Maybe then it's not what they say it is, because a lot of this stuff, again, is word salad. So maybe Six Flags is doing this, and all this stuff is good stuff, and it's, self-checkout and customized experience and stuff. None of it really screams AI to me, at least the AI by the definition of it, correct. Maybe they put together a press release to try to get it out there as the parks are opening, saying we're going to do all this with AI, but the investment just isn't exactly what they're kind of implying that it is. I don't know. I'm not accusing them of anything, but to me, it's just
based on I took their press release, and I did a blog article off it, and there just wasn't a lot of a deep dive into what they were talking about. Like you said, it was it would kind of like scratch the surface of it, but you didn't really know what exactly that meant.
Yeah. Customized experience. Okay. Personalized. Even the Missy 6 bot thing is absurd to act like that's new. Yeah. Again, we haven't used it, so maybe it'll launch and it'll be groundbreaking, where they're like, oh, hey, Ryan, hey, you typically visit parks outside of Kings Island in June. Have you ever thought about Six Flags Great Adventure? Because there are some great deals. Maybe it's something like that. I doubt it, but maybe it is. But none of this that I'm looking at screams AI. And if anybody is listening, especially people who know more about AI than me, I am by far not an expert. Leave a comment on this video. Let me know what you think. Do you think that this is actual AI? Do you think this is something that's groundbreaking, something that's going to make a huge, meaningful difference? Or do you think this is like a word salad just to put out a press release?
Yeah. And I still go back, Ryan, for me, it's what's always, it's what it's always been about. when you're visiting parks, or why you want to go back to parks. It comes down to, having these great rides, and you've got, great shows, great food. That's the recipe to keep guests coming back over and over again. Uh, the technology piece of it, if it can enhance, some things while you're there, great. But none of these things are gonna drive attendance.
No, they might streamline the experience, and
Right.
I'm having a little bit of trouble seeing how, from a guest facing point of view, that AI as it stands now is going to make a measurable difference. Absolutely, parks can use AI because you need to have those predictive models for things such as labor forecasting and stuff. And maybe from a guest standpoint, the park doesn't seem understaffed because, between 2 and 4, that's when this part of the park is busy. That's the kind of direction that it's going to go. But
Yeah, but I think some things too you're looking at is, and I think I had this in the article that I wrote, was like the license plates on your car. So when
Mhm.
you come up through the tolls, it's recognizing you because of your license plate. Those are the kind of things that would be the enhancements, to make some things a little bit, smoother in terms of the entry into the park, whether the parking lot or coming through the front gate, those types of things.
Yeah. So also another thought about the, leaving a comment, because I'd love to hear people's opinions on this, especially if you know a little bit more about generative AI. Once again, not an expert. If you can think of a way that this generation, or even like slightly in the future, the next 6 months of generative AI or AI in general, can be implemented on a park level for guest facing stuff, I'd love to hear your opinions on that. Um, and again, if this article that came out, this press release that came out, is saying something that I'm not reading, absolutely correct me in the comments. But I just feel like none of this is really earth shattering, and they're using AI as a trigger word. It's kind of like how social media was 10 years ago. Oh, we're going to use social media to market this. Well, what's that mean? Social media, I feel like that's what we have right here. But I'd love to be wrong, and leave a comment if I'm wrong. Just be nice. I'm very sensitive. Oh my gosh. All right. Listener question. Jessica Gaynor. She says, at Tower Topics, in looking at old photos of the racer, it looks like the ending weight tunnel enclosed isn't there, only a roof. When was it fully enclosed and why? You and I just talked about this the other day while riding the racer.
Yes, 1982, and the reason that it was enclosed was when the racer opened, in 1972, through 1990, it had the skid brakes, and there was not a super long brake run at that time, as long as it is right now. It had one extra drop before you came up into the station. But when it would rain, the rain would come in like sideways, and it would get the skid brakes all wet. And oftentimes, if the rain was either starting to come down, or they knew in like 15, 20 minutes it was going to hit, they would take one train off of each side for safety reasons. And the train that remained on, once those got wet, sometimes it would, not stop exactly what we're supposed to in the station. And they'd open the gates and everybody had to move up 2 or 3, seats to get in the seat that you were waiting in. Or sometimes it blew the station and you got a second ride. So
Sweet.
it was, to keep that dry was the purpose for it. But now that you've got the trim brakes, it doesn't serve the purpose that it did before. And I was advocating to knock those walls down, a couple years ago, especially for the 50th anniversary season. I thought that'd be great, bring the racer back to its full glory because you painted it red, white, and blue again. So let's knock down the walls. But I was overruled on that. But that's why it was there, just for a safety reason, just because the skid brakes would get, wet. They had to take the train off. And then after the rain would stop, you'd have, you're wasting more time putting the train back on again. So it was just a way to be able to, ensure that the trains weren't going to slide coming in to the station, and you could keep both trains on.
Yeah, very good question. We'll have to do an episode on that last hump going into the station and why that was removed. But let's save that for another day. Hey, I am Ryan Sir, and I'm along with Don Helbig, and this is Tower Topics.